Hello guys and welcome back to the F1 Tuber YouTube channel and welcome to my 2019 Belgian Grand Prix preview. And after the summer break, Formula 1 is finally back, and it is back at Spa-Francorchamps, regarded as one of the best circuits in the world. And definitely one of my favourite circuits on the F1 calendar of all time. But without a further ado, let's just get straight into it. As we all know, Lewis Hamilton is sitting pretty at the top of the drivers' standings, 62 points ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas in second. Max Verstappen is running Bottas close in third, then it's the two Ferraris, then Pierre Gasly, then Carlos Sainz best of the rest, followed by Raikkonen, Kvyat and Norris. It is a similar affair in the constructors' standings. Mercedes lead Ferrari by a mammoth margin, then Red Bull are close behind the prancing horse in third. Then we have McLaren, Toro Rosso, Renault, Alfa Romeo, Racing Points, Haas and Williams. Let's have a quick look back at last year's race, and it was a chaotic opening lap. Firstly, Nico Hülkenberg locked up into La Source, a really challenging opening corner in the F1 calendar, especially at Spa. He locked up, hit the rear of Fernando Alonso, he got airborne and flew over the top of Charles Leclerc's Sauber. It really was a frightening accident, and thank goodness the halo was there, as Fernando Alonso actually brushed a part of Charles Leclerc's halo. So if the halo weren't there, goodness knows what could have happened. As well as that, Alonso hit the rear of Ricciardo, he hit the rear of Raikkonen, both drivers were out, and Bottas hit the rear of Sorokin, but thankfully for the Finnish driver, it wasn't really major damage. Then 10 seconds later, we got arguably the shot of the season. 4 wide down the Kemmel Straight, Sebastian Vettel overtook pole sitter Lewis Hamilton. Then the two Force Injuries got right in the thick of the action. Esteban Ocon looked to take the lead down the inside, but he had to back out of it as Sergio Perez, who started fourth, got past the Frenchman. 4 abreast down the Kemmel Straight at Spa, with the fans right on it, just releasing the most powerful energy. It was a sight that I really should treasure, as it was just such a brilliant picture that was painted. Unfortunately, it was just a procession from there on in. Sebastian Vettel, with the combination of his driving and the Ferrari's power unit / car, he cruised to his last victory in F1 to date, unbelievably, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who was about a dozen seconds down the road. Max Verstappen cruised past the two Force Injuries really and claimed a really quiet third place. Valtteri Bottas came back to P4 with the two Force Injuries behind them. So I rabble on about how good the first lap was, but in actual fact the race as a whole was just dreadful. Spa remains the longest track on the current F1 calendar, spanning at just over 7 kilometers long. 44 laps will be run on Sunday. That is 7 fewer than the second longest track on the F1 calendar, that being Baku. Now, Spa has some famous corners like La Source, Rouge, Radion, Les Combes, Pouhon and Blanchimont. Despite the track's drastic changes throughout the years, Spa is still very much a loved track by teams, drivers and fans. At Spa, there are a few overtaking possibilities. Into turn 1, La Source, that is a possible overtaking opportunity. Rouge can really be an overtaking opportunity, but you have to be so brave. Also, you have the end of the Kemmel Straight, Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane. Now guys, I've made some slight tweaks to my previews, and one of them is most evident with my track guide, as down the bottom you would have seen my very brief sector analysis. In the first sector and third sector, I believe Ferrari will be at their best, as it is just flat out really the whole way with some really high speeds. But in the second sector, I do believe Mercedes and Red Bull can fight back, as it is mostly based on medium / slow speed corners. More about the tweaks I am making to these previews, I will talk about them at the end of this preview. But Track Master, I have gone for Sebastian Vettel. Now, instead of saying it's Lewis Hamilton at each event, as he is so good at so many circuits, I'm going to change it a little bit and I'm going to say Sebastian Vettel. Now, Vettel, when he's right on it, goes really well around the Spa circuit. Now, in qualifying, Hamilton has the edge over Vettel, but come race day, Vettel really knuckles down well, especially in 2018, where He didn't have the best of qualifying sessions, but then he bounced back emphatically in the race. Other examples would be 2013, where he just dominated the Grand Prix despite not qualifying on pole, and he also makes very good comeback drives at Spa, like in 2009 and in 2012 definitely. Moving on to the tyre selections, and Pirelli have chosen the C1, C2 and C3 compounds, which are the 3 hardest compounds available. Now, despite me not being best pleased with it, you can kind of see why a Spa is very high speed. Now, Mercedes have gone very conservative, but I do believe they are very much focusing on race pace compared to their rivals. This says to me that they are rather conceding the fact that they're not going to really be cruising to pole position and in fact focusing on race pace, which is definitely having a say in my predictions later in this video. Now, barring any safety car drama, I do expect the Grand Prix to be a one-stopper, as the teams aren't really taking that many sets of the hard tyre. Obviously, this weekend is Alex Albon's first race for the Red Bull senior team. Now, I think people are going over the top a little bit. I don't expect him to be within 4/10 of his teammate Max Verstappen, as he has to adapt to that Red Bull car. This weekend is very much a test weekend for him, and of course Spa is a very long circuit. Say if this was Canada, he would be a lot closer, but Spa is a very long circuit, and to adapt to a new car, it's going to be very difficult for him. Now, yes, I do expect him to be at P6 at the minimum, but even if he's 1 second ahead of the best of the rest, that's still a good enough job in my opinion, bringing home the points for the team. But obviously, if Alex ends up being lapped by Max Verstappen at certain Grand Prix, then the Red Bull team are going to have to consider dropping him for 2020 and promoting another driver. If you are a regular viewer to my previews, you would know I am pretty atrocious at my predictions, but anyway, for qualifying, I'm going to say Seb Vettel on pole. I think the Ferrari car will be at its peak this weekend in qualifying, as the engines will be turned up and tyre degradation won't be so high. I am going to predict though both Mercedes to get into the top 3, as I do believe Charles Leclerc will struggle a little this weekend, and considering how good he has been at firing up his tyres initially so far in 2019, I'm going to say Bottas ahead of Hamilton, but I could be completely wrong. Don't get me wrong, I won't be surprised if Charles Leclerc ends up on the front row, but I just think Spa is a circuit where you need experience, and I don't think Leclerc has enough experience to defeat Vettel in qualifying. I personally don't think Max Verstappen has a prayer in qualifying in the top 3, as I think the Honda engine will be lacking a little, and I don't think the aero on that Red Bull car will be enough to revitalise a top 3 qualifying spot. Because his race pace over his teammates and the Ferraris has just been so immense in 2019, I'm going for Lewis Hamilton to claim another victory this season ahead of Sebastian Vettel. I think it'll be close, but I think Hamilton will have more than enough to defeat the German, and I'm going for Verstappen to come home P3 to claim a second home podium in a row after his 3rd place in 2018. I think Bottas will be lacking race pace, as well as Leclerc and Albon I don't expect to get into the top 5. And why not, I'm going for a Hamilton fastest lap. Like every other race in 2019, or just every race we've had so far this season, it's just so close, isn't it, in the best of the rest? And it's so difficult to pick out a winner for the best of the rest. But with the Ferrari engine, which will be working at a premium this weekend, and with his form around Spa over the years, I'm going for Kimi Raikkonen to claim the best of the rest victory, with Carlos Sainz, who's been so good in 2019, following behind him. And then in P3, I'm going for Sergio Perez, as I just think it will just click this weekend between him and the team. Now guys, as I've told you before, I've made some slight tweaks to this preview, or this preview series, and this is because I was doing certain elements to the preview which I really was not enjoying, like best race of the V6 turbo hybrid era. Initially I thought this is a good idea to put into this preview, but I didn't really enjoy doing it and explaining it, considering that I could go in depth about not necessarily the history, but just the general conscious of a certain circuit. So I have dropped it, as if I don't enjoy it, I'm speculating that you guys won't enjoy it. So I have dropped it. But guys, if you want me to include any elements going forwards in these preview series, please let me know down in the comments. But guys, that is it for today's video. Please like this video, comment down below like I said, and please subscribe to the F1 Tube YouTube channel. In my qualifying review, I will be letting you guys know about something for my race review. But until next time guys, see you later.